Hi, I'm Rob and this is Gems of War. I've been asked quite a few times now in the comments if I'll do a beginner or new player series, specifically for newer players of the game. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the most basics of the game and work my way up through the more complicated mechanics as we go along. These videos will come out probably every Sunday, but there will be the odd Sunday when I miss one because other things going on at the same time. But look out for these on a Sunday if you're a newer player. So be sure to subscribe as well if you want to stay up to date with this series of videos. All I'm going to be doing is literally playing some games and narrating my thoughts and going through different mechanics of the game. The first one, we're going to start off with the most basic of the basic, which is gem matching logic. Now this may seem mega obvious to newer players, to more experienced players, but there are certain things which newer players simply may not realise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a hard level explore, so I've got plenty of time to explain what I'm thinking as we go along. Now, we'll start a battle, and I'm not going to always be casting the spell when I should do, because this is about gem matching logic. So ordinarily you would collect this match here and then cast Leprechaun, but we will do that because there's one thing I want to explain first, and that is a 5 or 5+ match like this equals an extra turn and always a mana surge. And not a lot of people realise that a 5+ match is always a mana surge, and it is. A 4 match, if we took it this way for example, is an extra turn, but it's never a mana surge. It's literally just the extra turn and you get the match. So a 4 match is an extra turn and never a mana surge, and a 5 match or 5 match plus like this is an extra turn and a mana surge at the same time, absolutely guaranteed, which we can show now by collecting this one. It'll be an extra turn but no mana surge. Right, when it comes to matching certain gems, there are certain things you need to be wary of or take into consideration at the same time. Like for example, the AI will always recommend a gem to take, and it's not always the best one. It's recommending I take this one here, for example. You may do that automatically without thinking about it, thinking that the AI is showing you the best possible move, but it's not. It's just literally a recommendation. What I would always suggest is taking moves which cause extra cascades of others, but being wary of not giving away extra turns to the AI at the same time. For example, if you used yellow, I would not match a yellow gem here. Be much better off matching this one to there, because it's going to cause this to drop down and give 2 lots of that. So that is something to consider at the same time. I'll just mix the board up on purpose. Like I say, this is not about trying to win the game. This is about explaining what you should do in certain situations in the game itself. Now, when matching certain gems, like you have to consider what class you're in at the same time. Like, for example, we do use brown, and brown is one of our primary colours in this for charging up the shield of Skya. But another thing you have to benefit from or think from as well is if you have the talents like rock solid, gain a barrier when matching brown gems, that becomes really, really important. Like you may have a choice where you may be able to collect, say, blue or green instead, but if you don't have a barrier on your first ally and you have a chance to collect brown, that's normally a very good thing to do because that will protect you from one incoming lot of damage. So I always suggest when you can collect a certain colour and there are other options available, collect the one that gives you a benefit at the same time. Another thing to be wary of as well is, especially with these type of troops, is like Mirage Queen, part of her spell is to convert all green gems to doomscales. Be wary every single round to look around and make sure you're not missing out on anything like this. This is really easy to miss when you're doing these kind of teams, and you may think, oh, this is the best move over here, I can collect this brown and that charges up my shield and I get a barrier and everything. So I'll do that, but you can do that after. You can do this first, and then you collect this. That will give you an extra turn, cause a load of damage to the first enemy, and we'll do that now. And now, like in here, this is where the situation gets a little bit more complicated. Well, it's not. It's actually quite straightforward because this gives a skull hit at the same time. If that skull was a normal colour, say red or something, you may be thinking, oh, what's the best thing to do? Is it best to collect the brown and get an extra turn and mana surge on brown, or take this really nice damage, because this is 2 Doom Skulls which do extra damage at the same time. But in this scenario, you should always do it this way, because you're going to get obviously the extra turn at the same time. With Doom Skulls, there's one extra thing to consider. With a regular skull hit, you can predict the way the gems are going to fall, exactly the same as any other skull, any other colour, sorry. So we collect this skull here, that's going to cause that yellow to drop down onto this one, and we'll match up the 3 yellow as well, which would obviously be handy if we use yellow. We don't, but it's just showing the point of why that's handy. But if this was a Doom Skull, say, well, if any of these was a Doom Skull, this would not be viable anymore. You cannot predict with safely that yellow will now drop down onto this one, because when you match a Doom Skull, it causes an explosion around it, which collects a small amount of mana and does extra damage, but you will no longer benefit from that dropping down because the Doom Skull explosion will cause that to change. So that is one thing to definitely consider when collecting Doom Skull. We'll just change the board up again. Like I say, I'm not too worried about winning this game or whatever. Other things to look out for, which are not here right now, but I'll try and explain them as if they were, is let's imagine this red one here was a yellow gem. Like, this would not be the correct move to do if it was offering this, because if this was a yellow gem, we can collect red from here, which would cause this yellow to drop down 3 places and cause a 4 match there, which will give obviously the yellow and an extra turn. Like I say, a lot of this is obvious to experienced players, but new players, this is the kind of thing you have to look out for all the time, and will become second nature the more you play the game. Like I say, at the same time, keep on looking out for these 4 matches on the green in this team's case. We don't get it here. We would get 2 lots of skull hits, but that's not always beneficial because quite often you can set up the AI for retaliation hits when that misses. So let's just cast the shield onto our Rowan to give that a boost. See what this does to the board. So now here when there's multiple choices, it literally does depend upon who you've got charged and who you haven't got charged. This sort of move is always going to be a good one, collecting the brown and getting the skull hit at the same time. Always do that rather than just taking the straight skull hit. Whenever we take gems disappear from the board, we'll make these 3 brown disappear, as well as make those skulls disappear. Causes more chance of a cascade happen around here, and you do benefit from that quite often. So that is another thing to absolutely consider. So I'll do that just for the sake of the video. Right, so that is the main logic, if you like, behind skull matches. Be careful of taking things like this if you want to take this brown here, because it's going to drop this down and the AI will still get the skull hit on the next turn. It is possible to sometimes mess that up for the AI, but not so much in this scenario. If you took this brown this way, it's going to drop all 3 rows down and nothing is really going to actually change. So if you want to avoid skull hits, sometimes the only way is to do it this way. If you collected this brown this way, like I moved this brown to here, these skulls will drop down and you'll still get the skull hit on you on the next go. If you collected it this way, so you move this brown to here, the whole 3 rows are going to move down in one go and still give them the skull hit, but you can avoid the skull hit if you took the brown this way. It's just going to drop it down like that. So that is all things to consider when you're playing the game. This is especially important on later levels where the AI has really high strength and can be really, really damaging. So I'll just finish up this game. And if you found the video useful or helpful, it'd be cool if you liked and subscribed, especially if you're a newer player, because like I say, I'll be doing this series every single week. I'll be trying to make the videos as short as possible, under 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes if I can, because you don't want to spend ages just watching a video that's overly long, but I thought this one did require some in-depth explanation, and that is why it is the length that it was. So we'll just wrap this video up. I'll always keep the speed slower when necessary. Now we've got a leprechaun on our next round. And win the game. Well, there's a video. Thanks for watching. See you again next time. Bye for now.